Hello! Many Minecraft players ask me the question, do you have any tips and tricks for building better in Minecraft? My name is Wintertooth100 and these are my 6 steps I use for better building in Minecraft. For today's video I have prepared 6 separate plots to help represent each of the 6 steps that we are going to work through to help explain how I do my building process. Step 1. Finding your build site. This seems obvious, but first you need to find a location where you will be building, a site that you will be happy with, that you think looks nice, that you think you can terraform, because there will be terraforming. You will take your plot and you will be doing some work to the land before you even begin placing blocks. Step 2. Terraform and block palette. You will take your build site and you will clean it up. We want to smooth this up. We don't want to completely destroy the terrain, so you'll see here that I've left areas where we're representing the earth slowly, gradually having shape to it. We don't want to flatten everything because it's harder to implement your build into the site and make it look natural, so don't go too overboard here. I have cleaned up the trees, removed the grass, and filled in our little river so we have a cleaner area to work with. Additionally, I have taken the blocks from this site to use for our build palette. We range anywhere from smooth stone all the way through to the birch. These are the blocks that were naturally in this area, and we're going to use them for our palette. Though you do not need to use the blocks from the site for your build palette, this will depend on the type of build that you are going for. If the blocks that you get from your site are not conducive for the type of build you are doing, feel free to choose your own block palette. I have prepared another line of blocks here that you may use in a modern build, for example. Things for modern builds are not as easy to come across naturally in the world, so you will not come across these things when you're cleaning up. So you will need to collect the blocks you are going to be using in your build palette for your build. Step 3. Build part 1. This is where you're going to visualize your build. This can range anywhere from multi-story building, storage, stables, and inn. Whatever you have in mind, this is where you're going to visualize it and start working out the shapes of the build itself. Figuring out the shape of the build will help you to actually complete the build. Not knowing the shapes ahead of time can make it a lot more difficult, so I've prepared here a little mock-up area where we've plotted out the shape of the first story. We've decided that we wanted a second story on top of it, and we've come up with some rough shapes for where roofs might be, where balconies may end up. We have a little area here for horses. This is the first and most important step for the actual build. It is figuring out the shape. You want to make sure that if you're going to have depth, you want to make sure that the base of it is large enough that you can include the depth. And don't be afraid to go a little crazy with this step, finding your shapes, because we will be rebuilding. There's a reason why it's build part 1. There will be more parts for building. Go crazy here, find the shapes you want. This is your one chance to really nail down the shape. You can make some changes further along, but it will become more difficult to apply changes beyond this step. Step 4. Rebuild. Looking from step 3 to step 4, identify the things you did not like in your initial build. For us, I decided that I did not care too much for having stone in the bottom section, so I've replaced it with cobblestone, which I feel looks nicer. We're starting to flesh out a few more details. We knew that we wanted to keep a horse here, so I've added walls so they do not escape. I've redone the top section of the build. I did not like the initial shape we had, so I've redone it, and I've slapped a roof on the top. Roofs are fairly simple. Mainly you just want to place a bunch of stairs, occasionally squeeze in some blocks if you can. These are just fine little details that are really up to you, the player, the builder, not me. I do not get to decide for you guys how to build your roofs. If you like this particular roof, just take a close look at it. It's fairly easy to replicate. In fact, it's incredibly simple. I have gone through, adjusted some of the floors. Originally we had just stripped oak beams here. I have added some texture variety in here to change things up, to give it a little bit more character. I've gone all the way around and filled in all of the areas with the cobblestone and the backside of the upper section. So basically, in this step, you want to go ahead and start filling in the things that you really like about your original build and replacing the things you do not like. You want to come to a place where it feels like this is almost a complete build. Step 5, environment. This is where I feel most players have the feeling that their build doesn't look good. You have to start incorporating your build into the environment itself. Once your build looks so isolated from the environment, it'll start standing out like a sore thumb, and I feel that's where most players start feeling like their builds aren't looking so good anymore. So this is your opportunity. Before we start getting into the real details of the build itself, we want to go around and we want to start decorating the outside. We want to start planning where things are going to be. I want to figure out where my path leading to the doors are. I want to figure out where my path going to the horse area is. We're going to start placing down some bone meal, getting some of this grass in here, and this is also a decent time to start roughly shaping out where you want trees to be, maybe little water gardens, things of that nature. The more detailed you can get into what is going to be a part of your environment, the greater your build is going to look at the end, as we can start incorporating some of those features into our build and making our build feel a part of the environment that it is actually sitting in. Step 6, detail. I'm not going to lie to you, this will be the longest, most tedious step to complete. This is the one that's going to be the most fluid and the one that you'll probably end up changing the most. But we are going to take what we've accomplished in step 5 and we are going to build on top of that. Starting with the pathways, we want to manipulate the blocks in such a way, come up with a palette that makes this feel worn in, that it's used. I want to believe that a horse actually lives in here. We want to come through, maybe place in a few flowers. Start thinking about things that an actual environment might have. You might come across stones in the yard, so we've also incorporated buttons. Working our way around, we have built onto the custom tree, made it a little grander, added some custom touches to it. We even put little buttons on the side to make the tree look knotted in places. We really want this place to come to life. The more you can emphasize the environment in this final step, this detail step, the more you can bring it into the build. This particular tree happens to be growing vines out that are now wrapping around the roof of our build. We've added flower pots in here to help incorporate the nature side of our build to the environment. We've detailed the water garden, added more rocks. We've even replaced some cobblestone with some mossy cobblestone to help give it a more worn, lived-in feel. We've gone around, added lanterns to add lighting to this thing. This is the step that gets really complex. Bonus step. This isn't really a step. This is just me wanting to take a moment to really look side by side between the two builds we have here. The detail step is one of the most important, and I was not kidding. It will be the longest step to complete. It is the most fluid, it has the ability to be the most manipulated, and this is where you're going to really make this thing shine and turn it into your own creation. You'll notice we've added details between the gaps of our beams here. We've even put caps on these beams. We've brought in cobble wall to help solidify this structure here to give it a sense of stability. These are little details that are not necessary for your build. In fact, by the time you got to that step, it's pretty much at a point of completion as far as living in it goes. So this will depend how much you want this thing to look grand, how much you want it to blend into the environment itself. There is a point in the build where you go from this is usable and livable to I just want this to look nice. So it's really up to you in this bonus 7th step, which is really emphasizing the 6th step, how far you want to take it, because we have already reached a point of livability, usability in the game, in your survival world, and this is mostly just for you, the player, to work on your building style. So feel free to go a little crazy here. You're not going to get this right away. It is one of the most complex bits of any building, and it's going to take time and practice. Just know that once you've reached this step over here, step 5, you are pretty much in a situation of your build's complete. You can live in it. Whatever you do to the outside at this point for step 5, whatever you do on the outside will not have an impact on your overall survival gameplay. It's going to be all up to you and player preference, how detailed you want this thing to look, and you can manipulate it as much as you want without affecting your ability to survive in Minecraft. These have been my 6 steps to building better in Minecraft, my process for building. I hope you've learned something here. I hope you've seen something that you like. I hope this makes sense most of all. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. I will get back at you and answer any questions you may have. Please consider leaving a like and subscribe if you're new here for more content like this. My name is Wintertooth100, and I will see you guys in the next one.